All right, everybody. For those of you who don't know, my name is Michael Forrest, and welcome to It's Quest Time. Now, before we get going, I'm going to have to ask you guys to not send me any texts while I'm up here, because when you're up here and you're presenting, right, and you get a text, it's like hitting a wall. It is. You just move it around. You're like, oh, and then there's a big wall of text. It's like it's very uncomfortable. So please don't do that. Also, if I could ask you guys to stay off of the stage area here, this way nobody blocks this big display behind me, right, and it gives me a little bit of room to move around, do the whole hosting thing, right? Also, if I can direct your attention to the menu wheel in your lower left, you're going to notice at the very top of that is a microphone icon that, it slides in advance. That's too bad. All right. That kind of looks like this right here, right? And when that microphone icon is clear, that means that we can hear what's happening in your environment. So we've gone ahead, we turn that to red, and this means that you're muted. So if somebody comes into your space and says, hey, are you still on that thing? Or somebody comes in and says, Matt Damon, you won't be able to hear that, right? And, or maybe likewise, you have a dog barking in the background. If that happens, you're not going to face social ruin back at the campfire by becoming known as the avatar that suddenly started barking during its quest time, right? But just because you're muted does not mean you can't express yourself. You can and should use this pink cheek smiley face in your menu wheel there. When you click on that, your emoji panel will open up in front of you, and it'll give you a wide variety of options which to express itself, right? So if, for example, I share something really deep, something really personal, it's meaningful, and you feel it right here, and it starts to build up, and you can just let it out and let it flow just like that. Maybe I got some backup dancers backstage, right? And they come out here and we start performing. It's Quest Time, the musical. Turns out they're not dancers, they're ninjas, and they start, fighting each other and all that stuff. And you're very impressed with the amount of stunts and work we put into this. So you throw up the applause I live for, and I take a moment to drink it all in because it feels good. All right. Now, also, if you can, I've asked you guys a yes or no question. You can say yes by smiling like this. You can say no by frowning like that. Or maybe I say something funny. You want to show me that you found it funny. You can use a silly faced emoji right here to show that you're laughing like that, right? And, also, there's this. This is by far the most distracting of all emojis ever made, right? And this is not how you ask a question, right? Questions and comments will be taken at the end. But if something goes wrong, like I'm up here and I'm waving my hands around a lot, it looks like I'm talking, but no sound is coming out, and you're like, wow, this guy looks like he's really into it, but I don't hear anything, right? What you want to do then, right, is you throw up this hand and let me know that there's a problem, right? Or maybe the moderators have seen one too many quest times and they get hostile and they turn against me and they decide to burn down the set, and they create like fire going back on the stage there, right? And I don't know. Well, that's our sacred pact, audience. That's our agreement, right? Together with me, you're going to let me know if there are any problems, okay? If I see one hand go up like that, it might be somebody messing around, so I'm just going to keep on going. But if I see 5 of you doing it at one time, I know there's a problem that I need to address. Now, it's a good idea during events like this to keep your panel open. This way, you can, participate, give me some feedback, but more importantly, let the people around you know what you're experiencing. So if the person next to you suddenly starts going like this, that means they found something funny, right? And you may not agree. You might be like, that's not funny at all. I'm going to go stand over here. And you can do that because this is VR, except for the stage area, because that's our pact, right? That's our agreement. That's a sacred bond, audience, between you and me. All right. So now, Quest Time is an event for Oculus Quest users, but all are welcome. So if you're on the device, feel free to hang out. You might pick up some useful information that helps the growing Quest community. We're getting new Quest users in Altspace each and every day. And while you've got your emoji panels open, I want to ask you some questions so I know how to set out. How many of you are on a quest right now? Throw me up some hearts if you're on a quest, or use your body language. Put your hands up like this and cheer. Be like, yeah, I'm on a quest. It's awesome. All right, cool. Wow, that's cool. Wow, look at a lot. All right, how many of you are new quest users? You're just starting out. Recently got your device. Anybody? Some smileys, hands, like, yeah, I'm here on a quest. I'm new and it's awesome. All right, cool. A few of you. How many of you have upgraded from an Oculus Go to a Quest, or you're here on an Oculus Go and you're looking to learn more about it? All right, couple, yeah, that's cool. All right, how many of you are new to Altspace? We got any new Altspace users here today? Any new Altspace users here? Let's see. All right, wow. Okay, well, welcome to Altspace. I'm glad to have you. You're going to really enjoy it. It's a great experience. All right, well, when I was waiting for my Quest to arrive, let me tell you, I had been on Altspace for a long time on an Oculus Go, and I grew up in Brooklyn, so I'm used to expressing myself with my hands a lot. I talk with my hands, but in Altspace, on an Oculus Go, you only have that one controller. So I was going like this, and I moved my hand around, but I didn't feel like I was expressing myself as fully as I could. So I was really looking forward to getting this hand. And then the controllers came, and when they did, right, I took a look, and I'm like, you know what? Those are a lot of buttons. And I like to go over this stuff for new Quest users so they can get, acclimated quickly. But I also, if you've been around for a while and you're already used to controls, I want to try to make it fun for everybody. So we do some movement stuff. And listen, I know you have a handle on the basics, or you wouldn't be here today. All right. Like that left thumbstick is going to move you around like this. The right thumbstick is going to move you around like this. And when you combine them, you get these big, elaborate circles that make my presentation so much more dramatic. And when I look out in the audience, if you all do this and join me, right? If I look out in the audience, it looks like you guys are ballroom dancing. Let me get a look at this. Nobody's doing it. Wow, that happened last week too. Maybe I'm losing my edge. All right, let's see. I'm going to join in. All right, if we go like this, right? I always say you guys should see what this looks like because it looks really cool when everybody's doing that, right? But, it turns out now you can because we have a YouTube channel. You'll see Raven and I floating up in the air there. And if you turn around and face the camera and wave, because that's our camera, if you wave out, you're actually waving out to YouTube. And you're like, hey, YouTube, how's it going? We got Papa Cherry right here. We got Sid, Dog Sit. We got Caden, we've got only one Cecil here. We've got Yee helping us out mod today. We've also got Lauren helping us out mod today. We got Dorian helping us out. It's a lot of people in here. Wow, we got Saved for Life. We got Yee over here, right? Come on in Altspace. I think you're gonna really enjoy it. It's really nice in here. And if anytime you want to turn around and start waving out, you absolutely can. All right, now let's talk about some of these controls here. What you have here is on the let's see. Wow. Okay, Will, that is, again, I did ask everybody not to text me, but to text me that's really kind of against community standards. I really, I don't know how to respond to that. I really don't. But very clever. I'd repeat it, but I can't say that on stage. All right. So what you have here on your right and left controller is this grip button and this grip button, right? When you have these grip buttons here, this is going to allow you to interact with your environment. This is going to allow you to grab rockets and basketballs. And if you're in the world building beta program, which is, fun to say, fun to do, it's going to allow you to build worlds with your own two hands, right? When you're doing this, it's going to change the behavior of some of the controls. Like if you're grabbing an object in the world editor or you're building a world, right? And you're holding an object with the grip button. Now, when you move your right thumbstick, instead of turning you back and forth, what it's going to do is it's going to make the object grow bigger or smaller. So you may go to turn, you're like, whoa, why is that laser pointer just get so huge, right? So what you got to keep that in mind if you're building worlds. That's going to change the behavior of a right thumbstick. Likewise, if you move that thumbstick up and down, it's going to push the object away or it's going to pull it closer to you. Okay, and actually, the moderators, if you spot Will, that was really. I got a text, very offensive. Do not appreciate that, Will. So if you don't want to be here today, you really don't need to be, okay? I don't mean to call attention to anyone like that, but, I'm doing this for free. I'm not getting paid to do this here. And if you're going to be, telling me that kind of stuff while I'm up here, it's just, it's really, I don't know what to do with that. All right, now, you're going to notice on your, let's see. Now, while these are a lot of buttons, it's important to keep in mind that some of these buttons do the same thing, all right? You have on your right controller, and you have the select button here, and you also have this trigger button on your right controller. And if you have your left pointer enabled through your main menu, you also have this select button. All right. Now, these all do the same thing. If you hold down your right trigger button and move it through the audience, that's how I know everybody's name so quickly, right? That's how I know that's Manawinden right there. That's Caden right there. We got T-Max here. We got Quaker Rolled Oats right there, which hopefully is not a copyright infringement of any kind. But yeah, so so some of these buttons, they'll do the same thing. Now, another cool button is on the left-hand controller. You have this left trigger button, and when you squeeze it, this is going to cause you to accelerate or go faster when you're walking or flying, right? Yeah, or can maybe go down to the audience, right? And maybe if everybody holds down their left trigger, their left trigger button, and we're all going fast, we can make a big circle. Maybe we can make a tornado if enough of us do it. Maybe we can make like a typhoon. Maybe we can make it rain. Let me see everybody going in a big circle like that. Let me see how you're all doing. Let's see. Let's have a look. Let's see everybody doing this. Not too many of you. Okay. Not into the movement today. That's cool. I expected more audience. I really did. I'm kind of let down. And that's not really circular at all. You're all just kind of zipping all over the place. All right, cool. I see how it is. All right, we don't have to work with that. All right, another button you should be concerned about with is these teleport buttons on your right and left controller. That's a top button next to the thumbsticks there. Now, if everybody joins me against this wall, I hope you're in a line dash teleport, because if you are, it's a great transition. It feels like you're throwing yourself across the room. And if you're not in that, I can show you how to set that up later if you like. But if you hold down your teleport button on your right controller and you aim at the floor, you're going to see a circle. That's the teleport target. And what you can do is aim it across the room to that wall. And as soon as you let go, boom, you get flung right across the room, right? Pretty cool. Now try it with your left controller. Hold down that teleport button, aim it at the floor. You've got that white circle, and you aim it right across the room. As soon as you let go, boom, you get thrown right across the room. Another cool thing you can do is if you hold down both teleport buttons at the same time, you can make kind of an X with it on the floor. And as soon as you let go at the same time, you kind of zig and you'll zag, just like that. right? Another thing you can do is if you face the stage and you start walking backwards, hold down that left accelerator button and then teleport at the floor, right? Like that, and you'll be doing the all space moonwalk, right? And hopefully that's not a trademark violation because that would be bad. But yeah, you can kind of, just do that. That's a lot of fun. Another thing you can do is, and I learned this very recently, actually. You're always learning new stuff in all space, right? I was down in the audience, that's my thing. I come into the audience a lot, right? And I had to get back on stage, and the audience was kind of like, crowding me a little bit, right? And they were super enthused. They were a very enthusiastic crowd. And what I did was, I on reflex, I never thought to do this before. I put my hand over my shoulder and I teleported backwards. That's right. You can teleport backwards. You got that. You can even do it with your left hand. Boom, like that, right? Now, one time when I started figuring this stuff out, I was at the Universe, right? Great event. You should check it out. And back then, it was in a really large world. And I went exploring when the event was over to really check out the world and see what it was like. And I go up to the edge of the world, and I'm looking off the edge, and I went a little bit too far, and oh no, I started falling, right? And as I'm falling, I look over and there's this cliff there, and I reach out and I aim my teleporter target at it, and I let go, and boom, I was thrown right on the cliff to safety. It's not like you can get hurt in all space, but I knew in that moment I was finally starting to get used to the controls, right? And you will too, right? You finally start getting used to them. You start like adapting. There's going to come a moment. You're always going to feel the plastic of the controls in your hands, right? But there's going to come a moment where these actually become your hands. Like if I say, "Hey, everybody, look over there," right? Now, I don't think about how I'm pointing. I just do it. It takes more effort for me to explain how to do that. If you hold down like your grip button, that's your middle finger on the side of the controller, you'll find that you're pointing like this, right? And if I do it on my left controller, I find I'm pointing in the other hand. And I can combine this to do different things, right? I can give everybody a Brooklyn hello. Everybody give me like a hello from like, Brooklyn hello. Be like, how you doing? Just like that, right? How's it going, everybody? Right. Another thing you can do is you can put them together and make the Altspace logo, hold it up nice and high, show me a little bit of Altspace love like that. There's a little Altspace pride. Hold that up, be like, yeah, Altspace like that, right? Now, what you can do also is you can actually twist it around like this and make kind of like a camera frame, right? Yeah, that's pretty neat. And what you can do is you're frowning there, Sid, sit, dog, sit. Okay, but like it's a really cool thing, right? It's pretty neat. You put your hand like this, and if you squeeze your trigger button like this, like that, right? It's like you kind of snapping a picture. Wouldn't it be cool if we could take screenshots like that and be like, oh wow, you guys are a great audience. I got to remember this forever. Look at everybody. There's so many people. It's awesome, right? You can do that. Now, if you're going to hold your trigger buttons like this, right? What you can do, you'll end up with 2 thumbs up. Like that, right? Maybe I'm doing a good job. You're like, wow, Michael Forrest, 2 thumbs up. Maybe I'm doing a bad job. 2 thumbs down, right? Better than those offensive texts I was getting, right? Or you can do it a little bit of both. Maybe you don't know, a little bit of both. Maybe you could do this because you know what? I don't know what this is. I have no idea what this is. I just know it looks cool. I don't know what it means. I know people do this to me sometimes. I have no idea, but it looks cool. All right. And you know what? If you see somebody doing something you like the first Quest time we ever did, a few people came up to the stage and they were going like this. And I thought it was cool, so I started doing it back. And, you got to realize when you see somebody doing something like this that you think is cool, right? That's the best way to pick this stuff up, by mirroring them. I see you got your hand going up there, Ocean Dude. I don't know if you caught this at the beginning, but we will be taking questions and comments at the end. So if you got a question, you hang on to that, okay? All right. So, the best way to do this is by mirroring stuff. Now, listen, if you're having a room scale experience, sometimes you're going to notice that what happens is you walk out past your main menu, right? In your, your play area there. And when you walk out past that and you leave your menu behind you, that's usually when somebody says, open your main menu. And you're like, where is this thing? And you start looking around for it, right? And it's usually like always behind you for some reason, right? And what you can do is it's important to remember that you have your main menu in your hands at all times. On your left controller, there's this flat button down toward the bottom there. And when you press on that, it's going to open your main menu. And you press it again, it's going to close your main menu, right? What I like to do is I like to combine it into like this like flick of my wrist when I open my menu, right? They're just like that. I open my menu, and just like that, I just close my menu, right? I'll be honest with you. I haven't touched that blue and white triangle button in months, right? You really don't need to because you've got it right there in your hand at all times. So if you're having a room scale experience and you can't find your menu, right, that's a good way to bring it back too, because there's other useful stuff on that menu wheel, like your emoji wheel, right? So you need that, but it's behind you. All you have to do is just press that button once, press it again to close it, and then your emoji will be like right back in front of you. There's another thing you need to worry about on a Quest in Altspace, and that's your vertical height, right? You don't really need to worry about this on other devices, but like on the Quest, you need to worry about, because it's the 6 off, you need to worry about your vertical height. First time I came in Altspace on a Quest, I went to the campfire to try it out, and I noticed, wow, everybody's a lot shorter than I am suddenly. I mean, I know I was feeling good about having a Quest, but I'm like walking on air here. Everybody looks so short, and the reason was because I was floating this high off the ground, right? Now, if somebody's willing to like change their height for me, if they're willing to like go down in a chair a little bit, they're willing to stand up a little bit. Anybody willing to do that? Yeah. We got E over here helping us out. All right. Well, what you can do is if you press down your left thumbstick, show everybody what happens. Boom, just like that. right? And that's called recentering. So if you find that you feel too tall or you feel too short, all you do is you press down on this left thumbstick and this will recenter you and make you more comfortable. But it's important to remember, right, if you're looking down when you do it, right, it's going to lift you up a little bit. It's not going to put you, because it's attached to your head. What you need to do is look forward and press down on that left thumbstick, and it'll adjust you that way. All right, so keep that in mind. All right, another thing that we have here to look at is, let's see here, we have also this, now this, don't press this now, right? This is the best way out of Altspace. This flat button in your right controller, if somebody comes into your space and says something important like dinner's ready, you're like, uh-oh, gotta go, right? You press on that flat button on your right controller, and that's going to immediately take you out of Altspace, and it's going to give you a choice to resume or to quit, right? Now, that resume button is great if you press it on accident. If you're at Universe and you're dancing around like, this is awesome, and then all of a sudden your hand hits that button and you got that screen at the Oculus main menu, all you do is hit resume. You'll be right back in Altspace like you never left. No one's even going to notice you were gone, right? You're going to be just like, you'll continue dancing. Oh, and if you don't know, right, like, when you make the fist, you hold that grip button and you hold the trigger button down like that. If you touch your thumb to the buttons or to the thumbsticks, your thumbs will go down. You combine that into a cool dance move. And you can just, you hit that resume button and you come back in and you pick up dancing right where you left off. And you're like, I don't think anybody noticed. I don't think anybody knows. I hope Yuji didn't notice. She's got those scary admin powers. I hope she's not going to destroy me. That would be bad. That would be very bad. All right. But you know what? This button is also great to press when things go wrong. All right. And what I mean by this is, let's say that you're in Altspace one day and you turn your head and the whole world moves with you. That can make you feel kind of sick. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to need a quick way out. Right. So you press that flat button on the right controller, then you press quit and you restart the app, and that's going to solve most of your problems. But now and then what's going to happen is, something like this will happen where, you turn to the left and you see a black void on the edge of the screen. You're like, uh-oh, what's that? And then you turn to the right and you see a black void around that edge too. And you're like, uh-oh, something's horribly wrong. And you look up and you look down, there's a black void up there. And you realize it's spreading and all of your friends are frozen in space, very dramatic. And you're like, this is a problem. And you go to press that flat button and nothing happens. And you're like, Michael Forrest lied to me. That's not what's going on at all. Sometimes, if your device or your headset freezes like that, the best way to deal with that is to restart your device. Now, when I first started out and I started having to restart my device, I would take my headset off to do it, right? And if you have your device plugged in and it's not in a charge cycle and it's not lighting up and it takes a long time to restart, you might get to thinking that your device is broken. That's what happened to me. And I think a good way to deal with this is, and a good skill to have, is know how to restart your headset while it's still on your head. And the way you do this is you take your index finger, right? And you swipe it up and down on the right side of your device. You can feel that raised up power button, right? As soon as you got that, you take your other index finger and you push it against the side of your headset and you squeeze them together so that you're pushing the button, right? And then you look, I like to look down and concentrate when I'm doing it like this, right? Deep concentration pose. And then after about 4 seconds, right, I concentrate so hard my avatar disappears and I get plunged into the darkness. After about 10 seconds, I start wondering, why did Oculus make it take so long? I don't know. It's a long time. 15 seconds go by, I start thinking about friends I haven't seen in a while, wonder how they're doing, 20 seconds go by, and I start thinking about life. I start thinking about the big questions, right? And then all of a sudden, out of the darkness, the Oculus logo emerges like the bat signal, right? And then it starts to pulse. And when it starts to pulse, you take your fingers away like that, right? And your device will start normally. And this is going to take care of most of the problems that you're going to have, not just in Altspace, but in other apps as well when you experience technical difficulties like your device freezing or, a sudden loss of something. This is going to take care of most everything. But very occasionally, when something very serious happens to your device, right? Like there's one time I come out of Altspace and it said Oculus Home is closing. And it was a blue button to press OK. It was the only choice. So I pressed OK. And then the screen just said loading. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I waited about 2 minutes and then I deep concentration pose, right? And, the device restarted and it still said loading, right? And I'm like, all right, this is serious. This is going on. I don't know what's happening. So I asked my good friend Google about it. Google and I go back, right? And Google told me that a lot of people were having this problem. The only thing you could do is a factory reset. But please bear in mind, if you have to use the factory reset, that any photographs you have saved on your device, all of your apps, you're going to have to reinstall them. Good news, you won't have to pay for them again, but you're going to lose all of your settings. And very serious, you might even lose your Beat Saber scores. It's true. All right, so this is serious business. Only use this in an emergency, but I find it's good if people know it's there, right? If you're here today, you're already familiar with the Guardian system, right? I mean, you did the tour, you danced with the robot, you played with the blimp. That was a lot of fun, right? But you may not be familiar with how to use the device, the Guardian system, to your advantage while you're in Altspace. All right, and let's say, remember earlier I mentioned you turn your head and the whole world moves with you, and how that can make you feel kind of dizzy. Even if you're not on a Quest, one thing that can help if you're new to VR and you're getting those dizzies, right? One thing that can help is if you hold your hand up and you look at your hand and you focus on it. This could often make that dizziness pass. And then as soon as it starts to pass, take your hand slowly away and take in the world around you and see if you feel better. But you can also use your Guardian system for this. And I like to say that if you're going to mess with your guardian system at all, please be careful, because a lot of times you'll be walking along, right, and all of a sudden you'll see somebody go boom like that, where they hit a wall, right? You don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to damage your equipment, so be careful when you move around your space. I find, especially if you're new to VR, it's good to lead with your hands, right? And you know what's cool is if you're walking around your play space, you're leading with your hands, and as soon as you get up to that grid, right, like if I walk up to my real world wall right now, I walk up to my real world wall, and I'm holding out my hands, and I see the grid appear, and I can see, I kind of make out the shape of the wall, right? But the thing is, I can still touch my thumbstick, so I can move my avatar around in VR while I've still got that grid in front of me. And what I can do is I can move back here along this display here, and I can line up this display with my real world wall, and it forms kind of a reality anchor, right? And as I move out here and I'm taking it all in, right, what can happen is I can fall off the stage and I'm like, oh no, I'm in the audience. Now let's say the audience is very hostile today, and you guys want to come up and mess with me, try to make me dizzy. Give me your worst that you can do here, right? Because as long as I can see that real world display there, I'm not going to get dizzy at all. Yeah, stick your hands in my face. Really, you guys aren't even trying. The audience is usually way worse than this. All right. Usually I got people in my back, that back far enough. Yeah, give me worse, because you guys really aren't even putting any effort into this. You'll notice I'm not like, mixing my words up. I'm not really losing my pace at all, right? And you guys are just being very nice today. You're not even really going for the eyes a lot, but they'll try to block my vision. And as long as I can see that display behind you guys, I'm fine, right? It's not going to make me feel dizzy at all. Another thing you can do, right, is if maybe you got something about the height of a desk, like in your play space, there you got a desk or something like that, you can maybe line it up with the edge of the stage here. And this is going to give you a frame of reference to make you feel more comfortable when you're in VR, right? So, that's another thing you can do. Another thing you can do is you can transition from what is this? Okay, someone is texting me. Hi, I'm getting a lot of texts during events lately. You got to realize when you're up here and you're going through this and you get a text in your face like that, it's like hitting the wall. Hi, Easton, wherever you are. I appreciate that, but, kind of maybe see me after the show if you want to say hello, okay? So you lost my place entirely. That's I really wish they'd take that out. All right. So you've got this ability to transition from a room scale experience to a stationary experience effortlessly while you're in Altspace, right? Now, what I mean by this is, like, let's say I'm up here and I'm like, you know what? That's the 5th time today I've gotten a text while I'm on stage, and I can't take it anymore. I'm tired. I need to sit down, right? If that happens, what I can do is I walk up to the edge of my guardian, right, and I stick my hands out, make sure I got enough room for my head, and I stick my head through to get the pass-through camera to go off. Or if you're using the experimental features, you can do that double tap thing. So I double tap there on the headset, like hit that twice, right? And all of a sudden my pass-through camera goes off, and I can see, oh, I got my coffee right here. I take a sip of my coffee, and I throw the mug down like that because I'm angry about those texts. And then I look over there, and I see I've got my chair, and I walk over and I sit in the chair, and I go down there like that, right? Sit into the chair, and then the next thing you know, I got this blue button in front of me that says, I want to transition to a stationary experience. I press on that big blue button there, and then all of a sudden, I find that not only am I still in VR, but I'm still in Altspace, right? And the only difference is now my avatar's down here. When I press down on that left thumbstick button, I pop right back up, and good as new. Now I'm sitting down. This works in the other direction too. I was moderating for an event one time, and I felt like getting up and walking around. It's a big deal for me. So I get up, and I'm going to get up and walk into my, my guardian system, right? But sometimes your headset can lose your guardian system because of changing light levels, and it can't resolve the position fast enough, so it wants you to draw a new one. Not a big deal, right? But when it's 2 minutes left in the event, it's a very big deal. So I start to panic. I start to draw my boundary out, right? I'm drawing it around. I start wondering, why's my play space so big? I don't know, and I'm thinking, Lauren, of all the times that I moderate for an admin, why did it have to be today? I don't know, Dorian. I don't know. And then all of a sudden, I, close that loop there, and the grid comes up out of the ground, and I find I'm still in VR. I'm still in Altspace. I never left. All anybody sees is my avatar frozen like this. Now I always pause there, right? Yeah, and it actually happened where I actually lost my net connection one time while I was doing that, and the audience is still standing there like this, and they're looking up like, wow, he's really into this. He's really dedicated to this. He's got range. I've never seen anybody so dedicated. And then I just disappeared. It was pretty funny. I came back like 2 minutes later. It was not a big deal, but everybody had a good laugh. But yeah, all anyone's going to see is like you're having an out of avatar experience, right? And and so come right back in, and you can transition back and forth so you can do what's comfortable for you, right? All right. Now, another cool thing you can do, and this is not useful in any way, it is just cool. All right. If you go up to the edge of your guardian system, right, and you feel it out with your hands, make sure you got enough room for your head to pass through. When you stick your head through, the pass-through camera goes off, right? But try doing this super slow while you're in Altspace, right? What's going to happen is you're going to be able to see both realities at the same time. And this is cool because it gives you a sense of scale, right? Like, I could tell you that avatars are about 6 feet tall and they're kind of a little bit wide, but you're not going to realize what that means until you see them standing in your living room or your office, wherever you VR from, right? It's kind of a neat experience to see like the avatars of your friends and stuff in your home environment, like in your real world home environment. I imagine that's what augmented reality must be like. But it's pretty cool to do. All right, now one of the great things about the Quest is it just works, right? And doesn't mean it can't work better. There's a lot of accessories that can make the experience really good. Those earbuds that hang down from the sides. I don't know what I look like when I'm in VR, but these kind of like VR earrings, right? I like to think when I'm wearing these things, I look fancy, right? And the first time I wore them, I came in Altspace and I went to the campfire and I tested them out. And at this point, I'd had the Quest for a while. I know how great the sound was. There's no feedback on it. It's really rich sound. It's really good. So I wasn't expecting much, but I went to the campfire. And you know what I heard? There's a breeze in the campfire. I've been in Altspace for like a year and a half, and nobody told me there was a breeze in the campfire. Nobody mentioned this to me. I had no idea. I went over to that fence area, and I heard the water rushing by, and there's that too. And I was like, wow. It turns out there's a lot of like really like ambient sound in Altspace that can make the experience a lot more immersive, and something like those earbuds can really bring that out. Right? I have heard from a lot of people that the Quest is uncomfortable, and it's not. Right? The reason people think this, and Oculus doesn't advertise this enough, I know people who have actually returned a device because of this. What happens is your device is a breaking in period. The oils in your face will actually soften the insert, right? It'll actually soften it, and as the springs get set in there, and you've got it like set to one setting, eventually your headset breaks in, and it's going to change the balance of the headset. But what'll happen a lot of times is when it's new, like when I first started using one, I got a sore on my forehead from it, right? And I was like, oh, this is horrible, right? But after a few weeks of use, what's going to happen is the material will soften, the balance will shift, right? But some people react too early and they're like, oh, I'm not going to stand for this. I'm going to modify my device. I'm going to get, a counterbalance. I'm going to get an external battery pack. I'm going to put it right on the back. You can do this stuff, but if you do it too soon, then the breaking in period comes up and the balance shifts again. And when that happens, you're like, oh, this just isn't comfortable, right? What it is it's okay to do that stuff, but give it a few weeks for the device to break in first before you do. And then if you find that the device is still uncomfortable, you can get something like one of these face insert that VR cover makes. This one's great. It's like, it's like you got your face in a pillow. There's like two of them, so you can wash one while the other's in use. It makes it more hygienic and it's pretty cool. Like that. So what you can do is you can get these accessories after it's broken in. All right. This way you don't like modify it first, then the balance shifts, and then you're like, well, this just isn't comfortable, right? Because you will come to a point, right, where these just become your eyes in the same way that these just become your hands. You're aware of it, but you really don't notice it all that much. All right, now you're going to notice also you have those prescription inserts that you can get, because listen, if you scratch your eyeglasses or you scratch your headset or both lenses, that can get pretty expensive. All right, as a preventive measure, it's good to have something like that. Also, the box the Quest comes in is fantastic, but if you're going to be moving around a lot or traveling, one of these travel cases is really great. They can help a lot. They're really, really good stuff there. If you want to try out on these devices, we've made it easy for you to find. If you want to try on these accessories out, if you go to altvr.com and you go up to the upper left, you're going to see where it says channels, right? And if you click on channels, you'll see all these Altspace event channels. And if you click on that, you're going to notice, like it says up in the sound booth, Ravenhall events down toward the bottom. And when you click on that, you get taken to our event page. And there you'll see all these products listed on the left-hand side. You also see a join Discord button if you want to, try to help us out with events and stuff like this. Or, and also in the upper right, the most important button on the internet. That's where they keep it. It's a subscribe button. And when you press this, it lets Altspace know that you enjoy our content, right? We don't get paid to do this. It's a nice way to say thank you. Every time we see that number goes up, it makes us feel good. Likewise, when we see our YouTube subscribers go up, that feels good too. And it's a great way to say thank you if you enjoyed today. Now, listen, we are going to be taking your questions and comments now. So if you have any questions or comments, please just, we're going to notice that there's a raise hand button that's going to appear on your lower right. All right. If by magic, that's what magic looks like in VR. And if you just press that, you'll get on my list. And if you want to make a question or comment, now is the time. Otherwise, let's see, while that list fills up, if you guys are on Twitter and you want to follow us, you'll find us at _ Uncanny Valley. I realize that looks like two underscores, but it looks like one underscore, but it is actually two. I must mess that bit up. All right, let's see. We have Saved for Life here. What's your question there or comment? What's going on? You're on the air. I get a feel like a radio host.
Okay, the camera underneath the menu, I pressed it and I took pictures, but it took pictures behind me. And
Yes.
how do I turn it around?
Okay. Well, there's a couple ways you can address this. In Altspace, when you press the camera, what that's going to do is it's going to take a selfie. All right, so it's going to take a picture of you in the space, right? And that's going to get saved on the AltVR website is one way to get it. And there's a couple ways you can get to it through your main menu, like going to your gallery. But if you want to take a forward-facing photo, one good way to do it, right, is if you press the flat button on your right control, you'll get taken out to the Oculus main menu, and there you'll see an option to quit or resume. And recently they have this now. You can click take picture, and that'll, red light will go off in the corner, and you go back into Altspace, right? And then after a few seconds, it'll take a forward-facing photo. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's what we have right now. So that hopefully will help you out with that. Okay. Let's see. We also have Ocean Dude. Cool name. What's going on, Ocean Dude? Ocean Dude, where are you?
This on Go.
Where are you, Ocean Dude? There you go. What did you say, Ocean Dude? Say this again.
Can you do all of this on Go?
Not all of this. Some of this you can make some gestures on Go. Like let's say if right now, squeeze your trigger button. Right, squeeze your trigger button like that for me. Right now, put your thumb on the trackpad. Right, like that. So at the same time, good. Now you're making a fist, right? So now you do a fist bump. Boom, and you let go of that, and you kind of let your hand out like that. Also, if you're holding your trigger button, you're giving me a thumbs up. That's one that you can do. Right. So you can do some of this stuff on a Go, not all of it, unfortunately. You might want to check out an event called It's Go Time. Right. The host is amazing. He's very dynamic. Right. And they give you lots of tips on how to increase your performance and stuff like that. Right. And tell him Michael Forrest sent you when you see him. Okay. He likes it. All right. Now, let's see here. Now, let's do, we got time for one more here before we head out. And when we do head out, you see that red button over there? Right. We're going to push that and something cool is going to happen. So stick around for that. We got Caden. Caden, what's up? Caden, you're on the air. Where are you, Caden? What's going on, Caden?
Every time if we do when we come to every time on Quest Time or Go Time, do we always go to the Flight Academy?
I usually end up all of my events by going to the Ravenhill Flight Academy, which we're about to do. So this is a good transition. This is to teach everybody how to fly. Plus, if anybody has any additional questions or comments, it's a good way because nobody's muted and stuff like that, right? And the way we're going to get there, let me unmute everybody. I like hearing people react to this, right? What we're going to do is we're going to push this button here on this wall. Right, I'm going to take off the stage blockers here. If you guys want to come up here and try to help me push the button, you can. All right, and when we push this button here, you're going to look out the window, and out the window, you're going to notice a Ravenhill Talon hovercraft is going to fly by. Now, these are ships that you can actually fly. So we're going to teach you guys how to fly, but if you want to fly one of these ships, you absolutely can. All right, so everybody, ready? On three, we're going to push this button. 1, 2, 3, put your back into it. Push.
Ravenhill Talon aircraft
look out the
en route
window.
to your position.
If you look out the window, you're going to notice the hovercraft flying by, right? And now let's go out back and meet it. It's going to go up over those trees. It's going to meet us in the backyard. So let's everybody head on out, right? If you learned anything here today, please share it with those you come in contact with. So if you're in a campfire and somebody's down there and they're low and you're like, what's wrong? And they're like, I'm on a quest and I'm stuck in the ground. All you have to do, just tell them to press that left thumbstick down. They'll pop up and they'll feel better. You'll feel better because it helps somebody else kind of help keep the thing going. Here we go.
Talon aircraft is now boarding outside for transport to the Ravenhill Flight Academy. Please exit the building and step into the blue light. Thank you.